Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are tuning from. You are welcome on Mamlakak Broadcast Network, affectionately called MBNK News, a platform designed to contrast the worldly fact with the kingdom through the original. And I am your host for this discussion entitled Summation with podcaster Robert Kraft of our United Republic. Robert is a trust administrator and international delegate for the Brotherhood in Tribulation of the American people, an avid advocate of maintaining the 1776 founding principle. Further information can be found on ourunitedrepublic.com. That is the website, ourunitedrepublic.com. Again, talking about summation, whether I have been sarcastic or derogatory, one thing for sure that we all agree upon is that we are living a world of political mafia, economic uncertainty, social unrest, weaponized education, and psychological abuse or psychological warfare. We are witnessing a dismantling of the old guard or system, and we can go on and on with the list is quite long. Renowned podcaster Robert Kraft of our United Republic will dive deep into this topic, and probably, if he can, share with us some of the things that are going on behind the scene. As the distraction is in front, sort of look over there or look over here while ratings are happening over there. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Robert L. Kraft on the stage. Thank you.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back, Robert. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to be back.
Yeah, we are so glad that you made a way or fine tune to come again and talk or discuss about this great topic, summation. Can you please let us know more? I don't know whether you want to dive straight into it or you want to give us something. I know there's a lot of stuff happening since the last two months or whatever. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So there really is a lot going on. Even today, like today has been just very fascinating. So we were lucky enough to build the organization, and we built it from scratch. So we basically took the fundamental principles of what we wanted the foundation of our organization to be, which was the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, and then very specific, isolated parts of the American Constitution, specifically the preamble, Article 2, um, half of Article 3, which is our general law and equity trust division, versus our commerce and revenue division, which is Admiralty Maritime, and then Amendment 12. So those were the foundations that the organization was formed under, and we have been building out and really staying as tight to that scope as we possibly can. Uh, well, you don't know. We've been lucky enough that we have a Stripe account. Our Stripe account is using Ethereum for our funding and our disbursements. Our my bank account I actually had to use my personal bank accounts. My personal bank accounts have actually been merged into our Stripe account, which is monitored by FinCEN. FinCEN is the financial center, which is observed and falls under the U.S. Coast Guard and the Navy. So our Treasury Direct setup is done. The accounts are directly merged which actually happened. My check cards don't work anymore, and I can't get cash out in any way. So I can write a check, or I can transfer funds directly. I can't use Zelle. I can't use like none of that. It's like old school bank account. Like go back to the 70s bank account. That's what I can do. I can't even get cash. I have to do everything. It's really strange, and I'm still trying to weave my way through it because I had to merge my personal bank accounts into the system to be the sponsor for them. Um, so that's been a feat in itself. But we were able to get directly connected to through Stripe directly to U.S. Treasury. All the accounts are merged, so we are operating at Treasury, which puts us outside of the federal government. We do not deal with the federal government anyway. We do not deal with the IRS. We don't deal with any of that stuff. We are an American religious establishment under Amendment 1, and we are operating directly to Treasury. So that's been good, and we haven't heard any cautions or anything. We've been steamrolling ahead. We've finished, with selling the shares, the founding shares that we sold. We were able to finish the principal exercisable foundations for the divisions of our organization, which is essentially the American Republic, the American National Republic, and our United Republic. So those are the three divisions that we have that are operating. Our United Republic is who deals directly with Treasury for our security instruments. We were authorized to issue North American security instruments. So we are allowed to produce and originate North American securities through Treasury that are recognized. So that's a great thing because that gives us the ability to put together a um, a security foundation that's actually protected and registered with Treasury, so that gives us that level of security and law enforcement through the Marine Corps and the Army in our living trust. So that's happened, and that's been building out. Now we've reached the point with our foundation that's been founded by those people who purchase shares. So they are the founders of those three organizations, which are the operational organizations for the community trust to be put in for this next phase, which is to actually occupy an actual space and have access to both U.S. Correspondence mechanisms and North American parcel correspondence mechanisms, and be able to operate between both. And that's what these jurisdictions did. So we are operational there. We are finishing up a letter. I just made a video about this before I came on. We've been working out negotiations with the First Nation tribes out of Canada. I had to draft a letter, a proposal letter, for an affiliation or a treaty, and to mutually come together and work together for both of our benefits, the American peoples, the inhabitants of North America, and the indigenous tribal peoples. So that letter went out last week, and I was notified today that they are making copies of it to send to all the tribes, and the tribes are going to convene. The initial feedback is this is the first proposal to affiliate that they've ever been presented that is mutually beneficial to both sides and actually truly creates a friendship relationship that they can look at. So they're excited. It sounds like. Also, our Canadian representative has been contacted by the Kingdom of Hawaii, and the Kingdom of Hawaii has requested the letter. They are interested in actually coming in also to our trust and coordinating with us to act together. So yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot going on. And then we have. Well, I'm in Warrington right now. We are looking at someone who's coming in to affiliate, and they have a piece of property, piece of land that was originally owned by George Washington that they're going to convey into the trust, and we're going to have an affiliation relationship, an affiliate associated relationship with that individual. She actually has some other key things that had been provided by her family, familial inheritances, and things that have happened that are going to be beneficial to the organization to just make it stronger. So that's pretty much our summary of where we are now, and we are moving forward with we're ready to start moving in, setting up our correspondence mechanism, setting up our space where we need it in those locations, and actually putting in true um, land assets and political representation secured to the land in counties all over North America.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you very much, Robert. That is beautiful. There's a lot happening behind the scene, and the organization have somehow just growing so fast and so quick. Wow,
Yeah.
you were. I mean, I'm so pleased to hear all those good news, and then how you were able to structure all the whole organization, and then now it's a time to running.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there was a lot there was nothing here. This was a void. There was an absent space. This jurisdiction was completely absent. There was nothing in it.
But how?
So
Sorry. How did
no.
you find out that there was nothing there? I mean, when you say that there was nothing there, maybe I don't get the term, but how did you find out there was nothing there, and what really means that there was nothing there? That means in terms of legal or
Well, there was no
occupation.
law. There was actually no. So we talk about, okay, if we talk about America, we say America, right? We're talking about the North Pole to the South Pole, Western Hemisphere, under the Monroe Doctrine. That's America. That's the Americas. Okay, so that's what we would call Western Hemispherical. Okay, and so that's America. If we're talking about continental, then we're splitting South America and North America, which I think the oldest map that I had seen that split South and North America was 1752. I think was the map. So North America and South America have been split prior to the American Revolution. So that's continental, and then we have territorial. Okay, so we have North American territory, we have North American continent, we have the Americas or American, which is Western Hemispherical. As of 1823, the entire Western Hemispherical is considered American. So, and if you were to go to the Marine Corps bird ball and chain, the Marine Corps bird ball and chain, when you look at the ball, it includes North and South America, the Western Hemisphere. They are the mechanism of force in the Western Hemisphere, period. That's why it covers both North and South America. Well, once we figured out, okay, well, there's an American, there's a North American, there's a Continental Congress, so there had to be a continental jurisdiction. There's territory laws. So where are these organizations? Where is this America's jurisdiction? Like, where does it represent? Where is its court? Where is its delegates? Where are the representatives? Where is this North American continental? Like, where's this location? Like, where is this happening? Like, where are these law procedures happening? Where is this North American territorial stuff happening? And the reality was, it wasn't happening at all. There was no mechanism at all. There was nothing operating in that space. The reason there was nothing operating in that space is because when you get into trust law has a 90, they call it a lease. It's great. they use the term lease. They're like, we got a 99-year lease. It's not a lease. It's a 99-year trust because they expire in 99 years. So once the jurisdiction goes dormant for more than 99 years, if there is not a mechanism operating there, it's dormant. It just shuts off. All the assets, the trustees are required when the mechanism is absent or it goes into void, those assets have to be moved. So that's how all the American assets got moved offshore. They got moved offshore because our system shut down, went dormant, and they had to be moved somewhere. So where did they move them? They moved them to Saudi Arabia. They moved them to all these places. What is it? Abu Dhabi. They moved them to Qatar. They moved these assets to all these places because where those were supposed to be. If it was a continental, then they had to move it to, let's say, Europe, or they had to move it to Asia, or they had to move it to one of the continents, or they moved to Antarctica. If it was a territorial, then they would have to move it to like Poland. Poland, I know this because I actually, my family was Polish, Russian, and European. My grandparents were Polish, Russian, and European. So when I had contacted the Polish embassy and I had told them I have my paperwork, this and that, the Polish embassy offered me Polish citizenship. They said I'm eligible to be a Polish citizen. If I would have just done the paperwork, I would have been a dual citizen, U.S. citizen and Polish citizen. The problem is I don't want to be a Polish citizen. I want to be an American citizen. I pledge to defend this nation, not Poland. So, but in reality, they operate off what's called the law of the soil. Law of the soil is national law. So Poland is a nation. And because they have national status, we had to move assets there because national assets have to be moved. And that's how this stuff works. When the functional political body politic goes dormant, the assets have to go to a new administrator in the same layer of jurisdiction. And that's how these things work.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, the way you explain it, Robert, is beautiful, and it's amazing how the law with all its integrity works. It's just, my goodness. So as a citizen, you could only pledge a legion to one national law, which is America. You cannot be, let's say, Polish and American. So that's going to be like having a conflict of interest, correct?
Correct, because citizenship represents a duty to the defense and protection of the nation, its people, and the spirit of the nation. So when you, what is it? A house? You can't serve two masters. You can't serve two masters, so you can't be a citizen of two countries because how do you divide your loyalty and citizenship? Number two, our American Constitution, our Constitution for the United States of America, does not allow for a citizenship outside of citizenship here. And to be a citizen in America, you have to be naturalized. You have to go through naturalization. That's why it says Congress has the power to facilitate naturalization. Because before you can become an American citizen, you have to be naturalized. Then you become an American citizen. An American citizen is not a U.S. citizen.
Could you explain that difference between American citizen is not a U.S. citizen? Because I think that many people think, okay, for instance, I have a citizenship of America, so I'm not an American citizen, correct?
So the difference is in the oath that was taken for the citizenship. When you're a veteran, when you're military, and you go to the military entrance processing station, when they say processing station, what they're saying is train station. To be changed in your station, right? And if you read the Constitution, it says station and your condition. What you are doing is you are going from the public U.S. citizen. And what's the first rank in the Army? Private. Why is the first rank private? Because you have left the public sector and you have entered the private sector. You are now private, which means you have attained the right to claim privacy under the Bill of Rights. You have sworn your oath to get those rights to defend the nation from all enemies, foreign and domestic. You are no longer a U.S. public person. You are a private individual of protected class with constitutional rights and protections.
Wow. Thank you for explaining that. And now I got it. And my other question to you in regards to dual citizenry and all, I see that a lot of conflict now happening in the Congress, or even some people say, for instance, like uh, I think that's the lady from, she is either from, not from Uganda, but she's somewhere, she's Muslim, and then she has a dual citizenry. And then they say, okay, that's a conflict because she's not pledging allegiance to the US American laws and right, but she's actually doing it for the people of a country. So they were kind of say that supposedly we will not have to cause the people with dual citizenry to be elected in the Congress or in a high position in the Senate. What say you about that?
Technically, so according to the petition and summons that went to the Army and Marine Corps last August, the U.S. Congress and all of its associated affiliates, all the way back to 1819, under an organization, a private organization that encompassed Andrew Jackson. We're thinking Aaron Burr, John Quincy Adams, and James Monroe, called the Union of the United States. So all the way back to the Union of the United States in the Treaty of Sessions, that entire political line of the U.S. Congress or Congress of the United States has been evicted. So they're tenants waiting eviction. They have been discharged, they have been evicted, and they are exiled. The only exceptions would be ones that were actually fundamentally operating with the intelligence community to facilitate. But that government is shut down because that government is gone. It's gone. They're not turning that government back on. They're not turning that legislature back on. The American people demanded that entire political body be deported and taken out of the United States and removed.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow.
So what's happening now is their funding. So this is just like USAID. USAID is shut down because that was part of the original. That was a branch or derivative of the original Union of the United States. Gone, shut down. Right? History, evicted. So and then really what this is doing is it's removing the 13. So our organization locked us at 12 at Amendment 12. That means 13 through 26 is gone. Those don't apply inside the United States or with the United States any longer. Those are foreign. That is a foreign organization that was being operated under the World Health Organization, who is the legislature for the Federated States of Micronesia. So that whole entity is removed, and that Congress, the senators aren't elected properly because that's part of an amendment to their federated organization that was occupying that space, and that space is now vacated, and we are going to appoint new guards, falling back to the original Constitution. So those senators don't belong there because the senators had to come out of the states. They had to come out of the state territory. It wasn't even the state. They had to come out of the state territories So the state legislature elected the House of Representatives members, but the state territorial councils were supposed to send forth the senators, and they don't. This would have been common knowledge 200 years ago. Okay, there's a reason there's two sides. One side comes from the veterans and the militia, and the territory side, that's the senators. And one side comes from the commerce and revenue side and the businesses and the profit side, which is the House of Representatives. That's why the senators are supposed to be territorial adjudicators. They're supposed to be veterans.
Beautiful. So it means that what is happening actually now with the government shutdown, co and co, we now, that's explain a lot what you're sharing, because 200 years ago is not what our founding father wanted. They didn't want that type of government. And then now, down the road, for some reason, they infiltrate the United States of America or the Republic, and they did their whatever they were trying to do. I don't want to just say the word. And then now we are sort of going back into the Republic little by little, or it's already there, but people don't understand it. I don't know whether I'm right in what I'm saying. You could correct me, but I think that we are going to that direction now, because even on the Constitution say, when the founding father lay it clearly, they say that if down the road there are some people that will usurpate this book of law or constitution, it is a right of the people to vacate those and bring the new God on my way.
Correct. But we're actually we're doing more than going back to the original Declaration of Independence, because of how our system was usurped, and because of us losing the War of 1812, because of how the Republic was what's the word? Well, I mean, it was basically like it lost a war, and it was conquered. The Republic was conquered. 29 years old, it was conquered. So everything that's happened since 1819, essentially was to bring in the development of a federated government. But in 1819, with the Treaty of Sessions, because the Pope signed off to appoint Andrew Jackson as Pope of the Kingdom of West Florida, and King Ferdinand the seventh or ninth, signed off that West Florida, under the Treaty of Sessions, was recognized both as a kingdom and as a religious nation. Okay, because both of those happened in the Treaty of Sessions. Subsequently, in 1823, you have the Monroe Doctrine telling Britain they're not allowed to have their stuff here, and telling the Kingdom of Russia they're not allowed to have their stuff here either. All right, establishing basically a sovereign kingdom nation. So, because of that, we're not only going back to the original Republic, we are actually going to Plato's Republic as a kingdom nation. So we are entering the age of basically, if anybody's read the 10 books of the Republic from Plato, we are going to the philosopher king, is how this is going to work. It has to work that way because of how we were conquered. The only way to get all the assets moved is we have to step out of our quote unquote common canon, our common community law system, and actually enter the realm of a aristocratic guardianship. So a people's kingdom nation is really what we have to step into, because of how the jurisdictions are staggered on like a ladder or a set of steps. The only way to get all the stuff back is to go to the next level up, and then turn around and pull everything back in. So that's what's happening. We're actually going to fulfill essentially the 8 kingdoms of the world, which are the 8 kings in the book of Revelations, which are the 8 continents, including Antarctica, and fulfilling Plato's Republic, as it was originally written before he wrote The Statesman.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, I even heard somewhere that people are calling now America the rebirth of the empire. When President Trump went into Asia for that trade deal and all, they say, okay, we are witnessing the return of the American empire. And quote, there was, say, American kingdom. So what you're saying is, for those who are awake already, they are witnesses that this is what is happening. But many people are still saying, okay, we don't even know what the government are doing. We don't even know what this one is doing. We don't know what the left is doing, the right, and all of that is just all the amalgam of anything. But we, the people, would think that we are on the good track. The train station, as you mentioned early, and that if you could explain to us, as you say in the backstage, that when the beginning it was only 3 million American when America came to be, and
how delegates are selected.
how the delegates,
Yeah. So everybody needs to remember that New York did not vote for independence. New York abstained. They abstained because they did not get direction from the council that sent them forward as delegates in New York, in the New York province of New York, the province of New York. And we have to be very careful with our words. When you're talking about a state in the Constitution, they're talking about a state territory. They're not talking about an incorporated revenue construct or a federal construct. That's Article 4. Full faith and credit is federal. That falls to Article 4. That's where the Coast Guard is. Okay, so you got to be careful. We're talking about state territories. So if you were to say Florida, you would say Florida State Territory. If you were to say, and then that territory is where the province is. So if you were to go to Liberty Bell, you would say Liberty for all the inhabitants from the province of Pennsylvania. That's the Liberty Bell. That's what it says right inside. The Liberty Bell is the physical manifestation of a living trust by William Penn for liberty. That's where liberty is. It's where it's derived from. But it's only in the provinces that liberty exists. So you have to have that jurisdiction operational. So the let's roll back to 1784, right, or 1776. Okay, and you have the kings, the merchants, you have the East India Trading Company, you have these trading companies, right? And you have and the seas are ruled by the trading companies, and that's where all the wealth is. That's where the merchants that were able to do business were richer than the kingdoms. Okay, so they really became like the wheelers and dealers of the powers of politics within a kingdom. The king really doesn't. It's a figurehead. He rules the army, but he doesn't rule the navy and the high seas because that's where the merchants paid for the ships. So we have to understand kind of how things work, or we at least have to consider them. These communities would come together. Let's say a community was established. The first thing they built is the church, right? And everyone's like, church. Oh, they went to church. They went to church on Sunday. They didn't go to church on Sunday. Okay? They didn't go to church on Sunday. They went to church every time they had a problem. That is where common law judicial procedure was exercised, was at the church. That was the court. That was the community court. So when you hear of is it Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death, that speech was in a church. Why? Because that's where the congregation made political decisions for the community. So they decided who the delegate was, and they sent those delegates from that community out to represent them. That's called representative government. Okay? They are sending forth ministers. They were called minister plenipotentiaries. If you read the first treaties or the instructions from the Continental Congress to Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, it says they are to execute treaties of amity and commerce. Amity and commerce. The plenipotentiaries, the minister plenipotentiaries execute friendship treaties. Amity is friendship. We are friends first. Then we can do trade because we're friends. So now we can do trade. So they had to be treated, and they weren't allowed to be any more than 10 years. They had treaties of amity and commerce. Okay, you couldn't have a commerce treaty without an amity treaty, right? So that's how this stuff worked. And that was their instructions. And they were called minister plenipotentiaries. And our system is still inherently set up that way. I just had a conversation about the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State handles foreign affairs for the state, which is commerce. The consular's office for the United States of America represents the nation. So that is your amity, is the consular's office, which is inside, which is the spirit of the State Department, inside the State Department. And then you have the Secretary of State, who's the ambassador. One side sends envoys, one side sends ambassadors. One side's for commerce, one side's for friendship or trust. And that's how our system is inherently set up. So the Greek Orthodox Church will not speak to the Secretary of State for the United States. They only speak to the consular's office for the United States of America, because that is the national law, and the Greek Orthodox Church is in America. It's not in the United States. It's not the land that they hold is not United States land. The land that they hold is American. But if you were to go to a Catholic church, like I went to the Baltimore Basilica, and I walked right up to the priest. I can't remember if they're priest. I can't remember. Anyways, I went and asked him. I said, "Is this basilica in America or is it in the United States?" And he said, "This is in the United States. This is United States land right here. This basilica is in the United States." But if you walk around the building, on the fence says "First Basilica in America." Well, how can it be the first basilica in America, but it's in the United States? Because after the Treaty of Sessions, the Catholic Church was removed, and we had our own Pope, Andrew Jackson, who was the Pope King of West Florida, and he signed the Northwest Ordinance. Ordinance means ordained. Only an ordainment can allow you to issue an ordinance, because you're an ordinary.
That's deep. That's deep. Robert, that is deep. Should it be that this is how the church came to be?
This is how the America as a religious establishment or church under law came to be.
Have we been lied to for so long?
Well, there were people that were lied to. Now we just live in ignorance. The people who are in charge can't even fathom the concept of an American, our Amendment 1 American religious establishment as the mechanism of force and justice within the nation. That concept is so foreign based on pure ignorance. So it's not really lying if they don't know and we put trust in them, knowing that they don't know and we don't know. Is that really a lie, or is it just ignorance?
I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that there are some people who knew about this information and for some reason did not want to disclose it because of control.
Well, I'm gonna rebuttal that a little bit. I believe that at the highest levels of our intelligence community, at the highest levels of our military, our actual military operational homeland defense community, I believe that there are people who absolutely have the beneficial intent to salvage and save the American Republic in the nation and the homeland. But I also have come to understand that this information, when they get the way the game works, and I call it a game because it's really a game. The way the game works is the American people have to build their own nation. They must do it themselves. They cannot be helped. They cannot be guided, and they cannot be assisted by anyone who has been read in on the truth. They have to find it for themselves, and they have to do it. So a lot of these people that we would say, well, you knew and you didn't say anything. A lot of these people were told, you are now not allowed to participate in this process because you have been read in on what's really happening, what has really happened, what has really taken place. You're no longer allowed to participate. They must find it and do it themselves.
Wow. What a time to be alive. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Something is still ringing in my mind, that is like a quiet revolution taking place in
I use the term silent revolution. This
okay,
is the
silent.
silent revolution. There ain't
Exactly.
going to
Thank
be
you.
one round squeezed off, and the entire national infrastructure of law and order and justice and courts is going to completely reverse itself, and there won't be one shot fired. The
Thank you.
silent
Thank you for
revolution.
using that word. Exactly. Because when I heard President Trump talking about laws and order, and some of the other podcasters out there talking about, especially Derek Johnson, talking about laws and order, and say you are watching the movie.
Yep.
This is a military and strategic operation taking place since the last decade. And people are still saying, okay, you guys are conspiracy theories, you guys are liar, and you know how it goes with the
Yeah.
lamestream
Well, it's
media.
a show. It's for the public. First rank in the army is private. Why? Because you just left the public. That's it. Everything that happened to the public, and this is going to sound harsh, but this is just the way it is. And I think you guys have come to know that I'm just going to say it. The public murdered Jesus. The public murdered Socrates. The public waxes and wanes with the tides and the seasons. The public is uninformed and is dangerous. They need to be entertained. They need to be fed. Okay? And they need to believe that that being a good taxpayer and being obedient to the powers that are over them is the proper form of being a good citizen. They need to believe that. Why? Because they're dumb and they're ignorant and they've never ventured beyond the capacity of self-aggrandizement, self-enrichment to to um service beyond your own even continued life. They cannot fathom that concept. That's why they're dangerous. That's why they're not supposed to have rights and stuff. That's why they're considered corporations and businesses. They're just vessels to feed the revenue machine. They're not going to play a role in the nation or its defense. They're not going to raise their right hand and say all enemies, foreign and domestic. They're not going to do it. That's why they don't get those rights. So that's the problem, is that the general public is ignorant by choice. It's not like this information was hidden. There's libraries all over the place. These books are available. There's audiobooks now. Like it's not but you got to go do the work yourself. You got to ask the right questions. And if you're not willing to ask the right questions, you're not willing to go do the work, you're not willing to become a citizen to the defense of the nation and your people in service, then you're not private. You're the public for revenue, and you need to be entertained.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That's just the way it works.
Is the reason why the elite or cabal or deep state, they understood that maybe only 1% of Americans are awake, and then the rest are considered corporation, as you use the term corporation, which is why their birth certificate is traded on the stock market, and they will tell you, no, that is a lie, that is this, that is that, and they don't even understand what is happening with this movement. They kind of crucify President Trump. Let me say it perfectly. They kind of crucify him. They don't even know that he's a face of a movement that has been there for over 2 decades. I mean, they just believe in what the lamestream media teach them every day.
Well, if you want to cite the Bible, what happened when Jesus walked up to the town? He saw those guys sitting there. He talks to them. All of a sudden, the guy's like, Jesus, like, I'm going to go in town. He goes, no, don't go into town, because he knew that they'd kill him if he walked in that town. So that guy goes into the town, says the same words that Jesus said, and they turn into a herd of pigs and run off a cliff. Like, that's the public running off the cliff. That's what they do. They lose their mind. They can't fathom the concept that there are more layers to this system, more layers to this game, and there's a far deeper place to go.
Welcome to that silent revolution. I like it. And
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying it. Welcome to that silent revolution. Let's go. Let's run with it. Wow.
I mean, I walk around, I literally say every day, I'm like, I live in a circus. Like, this is a circus. This is a 3-ring circus. There's 3 rings running around all over the place. But it's but I don't engage. I don't, like, I'm not restrained. Like, I don't go and talk to the I'm not going to go talk to a sheriff or a deputy that literally is truly a member of the public and doesn't have a clue to what I'm talking about. Why would I even talk to them? There's no purpose to talk. They're not. There's no reason for that. There's nothing to talk about. That's just the way it is. This is, and that's why I've taken the position of, well, that is a United States matter, and this is a North American matter, and those are 2 different countries, and we don't deal with that. So just go over there. This is an American matter. It's here, different jurisdiction.
Robert, I have a question. Did you believe that somehow in the near future, people will come into that understanding and close the gap between American and the United States of America, and say, okay, let's go with what our founding father saw as a vision, and lay out when they map it and say, whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these
I think that I don't think it's going to happen. I think we've already passed the point of knowing that the government that was in place was a foreign government, was a despotic representation of debauchery. I mean, I don't even know what to call it. Like, that's how pathetic it was. So, I don't think there's a name. Anyways, I think what's going to happen. So the model. So if we've gotten, I just had a conversation with our international representative. So she is a daughter of the American Revolution. She has been directly vetted by Space Force. She acts as liaison with Space Force whenever we have to deal with them, which is very limited at this point because we're kind of up and running. But she's the one. I just had a conversation with her yesterday, and I told her, I said, I think we've been humble enough at saying, if it's going to be this organization, too many things have happened in our favor, like the treasury issue, and we're using Ethereum, and we're all this stuff that's happened for us to say we are the organization that is going to build the system out. if that does happen, well, we're going to take, until we're told we're not, we're going to assume that we are, because we keep getting facilitated and we keep having successes. So we're going to say we're it. Okay. At that point, to that point, the educational model that we've designed is specific to the separation of these jurisdictions. So when the children are brought through the education system, there is a model that's been designed into three tiers. One facilitates the community cultural development of that individual child or individual. The secondary tier represents the state's ability to project future necessity of workforce. And then the third tier represents the nation's ability to germinate a nation of citizens that have a vested interest in the protection of their people and their culture and the nation. It's by protecting their people and their culture applied to law that will protect the nation in perpetuity. So by dividing these systems up and injecting them where we need them, I think that that spirit of that American spirit will be germinated naturally by having these things in place.
Beautiful, beautiful. And how sooner those book or maybe that curriculum will be available to people. Maybe some parent they don't want again to bring their children into this brainwashing school. Can people access
That
those curriculum already now, or maybe?
well, we're still working. We still have to get the assemblies put in each county, and we have to get that functional council operating politically in each county, which there's 3,000 counties just in the United States, and we're combined with Canada now as one nation, back to the Articles of Confederation. So we're essentially now Canada. Our private Supreme Court, equity court, is in Alberta. So like, there's no way for us to get away from Canada when our court is actually in Alberta. So, as far as we're concerned, the people of North America are the people of North America. That's the end of it. George Washington used the term the United Colonies of North America. So that's written in one of his. Oh, it's written in the letter on July 9th, 1776. It was the general order to have the Declaration of Independence read to the troops for the American Army. And in that order, he referenced the term United Colonies of North America.
Outstanding. Yes, welcome, Ambassador Cherry. He says sovereignty must return. It is the original design. Indeed, indeed. I mean, it's not just for American people, but it's for every human being on planet or on this realm. I do believe. Wow,
Yeah,
that is very interesting.
I think that this will be a global event, because the way that our system is set up through affiliations, associations, and treaties, these fundamental jurisdictions that we've taken to essentially they'll be operational should that happen in other nations around the world. Just through our relationships at a civic level, we can sponsor and facilitate that once we get ours operational and running.
Yeah. Wow, beautiful. I also heard about people calling Australia as now part of the American kingdom. I don't know whether you heard about that one or not. Australia. How about that?
No, I have heard something. That's actually true, and this is why. The language that was adopted by our organization is Americana. Americana actually means American Canada, which is North American, but our that is our North American continental language, official language, because there's an Americana encyclopedia, and that's where our language comes from, is out of the Americana encyclopedia. Our our language countersign, national countersign for Americana is Australia, because they're on the southern half of the hemisphere. So where we are the north, they are the south, which means they are our opposing national countersign for Americana. Americana encyclopedia is held in Australia. So that would make sense that we are bridging that gap again to reestablish that language as our formal language for the continent.
Yes. Wow. That's beautiful. I mean, um, what did I, what, I have a thought in my mind. I just wanted to see, I just to ask you, a sort of returning the, not only the war, but returning all those territory to their original place before all the World War II, and even the psychological Third War happening, before even that those division were between Atlantis and African and all. Are we kind of returning? I don't know whether I'm making sense with my question. Returning back into that stage, but with
Yeah, I
the
think that we're yeah, I think that inherently we're returning to reestablish a fundamental exercise of jurisprudence under law, under equity, both at a community at a canon law level or a community law level, and for individual rights and property claims. And I think that inherently that return is going to balance our system. Um, and it's going, but we have to remember we're talking Western Hemisphere. Well, technically, the Western Hemisphere actually includes the west edge of Africa, um, and actually the island of England. Kind of funny. So because you're literally cutting the world in half, and you're saying everything in here is the east and everything here is the west. Well, when you look at the um, what is the line called?
equator.
No, the other one, the one that goes north and south. The one that divides the Western Hemisphere from the East. I can't remember the name. It's not the International Dayline. It's the other one. The Prime Meridian. The Prime Meridian. The Prime Meridian cuts off England and the western tip of Africa, and actually puts them in the Western Hemisphere. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Or are we going to go to a continental model, which would probably be easier, um, as far as how law is applied? But I think that we are returning to at least the fundamental principles of why American independence was fought for.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. My goodness. I mean, you have a lot of information, Robert, and wow. I'm just blown out with what you share concerning what is going on behind the scene, really, and then the distraction and the show that we're watching and thinking that okay, these people are just crazy there in Washington, but if they knew, really.
Well, the public has to be entertained.
Okay, coming about summation. What do you want to really uh, say a little bit on this topic? I know we have talking about that because what you share is legally is about summation. So
Yeah, people have to understand. You're in a when you're born into a space under a certain level of jurisdiction. It's your actions, it's your performance that's supposed to facilitate your ascension through that system. And what's really happened is that people who are cowards by natural entitlement. Um, what they do is they try to block potential so that they can delegate who they think is supposed to be there, and really that's what leads to this situation, and that's what's led to here. So people, the only thing that we're really trying to do is open up the doors for the people who are worthy to be able to step out of that public space and ascend into their private space, being able to get where they belong based on their behavior. Um, and in reality, one of the things that we have been adamant about is that we are not going to dismantle. I call it the beast. We're not going to dismantle the beast, the mechanism that's been feeding. We're going to assist the ones that are worthy of coming out of the beast and that's feeding on them. But the ones that can't act right, we got to send them somewhere. We're going to send them to get fed on. They're going to stay right there, and that's just the way it's going to go. So, uh, you know, we have to have that separation. There are just people that they just don't act right. Period. What are you going to do with them? You got to put them somewhere.
Set them in Gitmo.
Yeah, but I'm talking about. I understand. I understand send them to Gitmo, but in reality, they're we're talking about a social population that is so inherently ignorant. I mean, that their level of selfishness is so great. It's going to be those people are going to have a difficult time in a world where accountability is like instantaneous. Like you go and wrong somebody, and all of a sudden you're summoned to a court, and you are literally prosecuted standing there for your behavior. And then we're determining whether you're going to lose your citizenship or you're going to be remanded to a community restrained facility because you don't know how to act. You're not allowed to be a part of this social civic society. You can't you don't have the skills to operate in a normal standard American social civic society. You just can't help yourself. What are we going to do with you? You got to do something with them because they act like they're five.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So these
And
are all
yes,
things that have to be considered when we're talking about carving up the populace, especially the non-Americans. You know, the U.S. citizens that are generally the public. The ones that do their thing and they live their productive people in society, but they're U.S. citizens. Fine, they're going to get to do what they want. They're going to get their stuff. They're probably going to get more benefits. Their life will get easier. But the takers and the manipulators and the little con artists, I mean, imagine a situation where you have somebody who's a programmer that programs viruses and they just can't help themselves. They like ruining everybody's stuff and stealing their crap. And you end up on some kind of Amish formation 1700 colony, and that's where you're going to stay, where there's not even an electrical device anywhere. Why? Because you can't help yourself. What are we going to do with you? We're going to have to send you where there's no electricity because you abuse everything you touch.
they have to be re-educated.
Well, that's if they're able to be re-educated. That's a
Wow.
capacity in itself. If they're completely non-compliant, how do you educate something that's completely non-compliant? You can't let them run free. We've done that. Look what happens.
Over 200 years, almost.
Yeah.
Because we get into 250 next year. So that's a lot. That's a lot. And I'm liking it the way things are going and moving forward, that uh, people have to be held accountable. And everyone, as the law states, nobody is above the law. So all of those treasonous people out there, all those who, for some reason or somewhat they did, they are going to be held accountable. And we want justice. We demand justice, actually, because if that is not the case, everything that we've been doing is just, running water and let it go. We
I think the next big hammer to drop is going to be the universities and colleges. Um, I can tell you this, after a conference, and I know I posted about what happened with my dog, and just the entire veterinary system that is just another out of control system. More than likely, there will be a university in North America that will be dissolved as an example of what will happen if these universities don't get in line and start operating the way they're supposed to. So there's going to be a sacrificial lamb, and that university will be dissolved completely.
Beautiful. Yeah, we
And the
need, we need,
reason's going to be simple. Here's the reason.
go ahead.
There is already a restraining order into the new trust that university is not to be allowed into the new trust. So inherently, it will go dormant and be dissolved, and its assets will have to be moved because it has a restraining order. The entire institution.
Bravo.
So, but
Wow.
there has to be a sacrificial lamb, because you're not going to get these university administrations and this whole little intricate network of whatever at the university level under control until you show them what will happen if you don't get your stuff right. So somebody's got to pay the dues.
Exactly. It's about time. It's about time. We're overdue, I think, about on that one. Not
Yeah,
only in
I
the
agree.
university, not only in the university, and almost in every area of our life, we're overdue. So it's about time that we need to see change, real change happening. Beautiful. I can't wait for that. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited.
So
Oh, Robert, thank you very much for all that you shared today. I think that we're almost over time, but I don't know whether you do you want to kind of try to tell the people who would like to donate or be part of your organization,
yeah,
what's the process to
yeah, I
join?
would like to touch on that.
Please.
I appreciate you addressing.
Yeah,
I totally I meant to think about it.
yeah,
So what we've done, we've closed out the shares because the shares were for the operational organizations that were needed to facilitate the next phase. We have entered that phase. So if you go to our website, ourunitedrepublic.com, and there's a donate button. That donate button, when you fill out that form, if you click a box, any donation over $20. Why is it $20? Because the Seventh Amendment says over $20. So that's why. If you click the box that says share my info, that goes to an associates page. And really, that list of people that's being built there is under I don't know, they've talked a lot about Citizens United, which was the big case about corporations are allowed to donate to political causes, and that's freedom of speech under the First Amendment, that whole thing. We are exploiting that Supreme Court ruling in this mechanism, so the donation is actually Amendment 1 political speech, and putting you on that list shows that you are supporting the cause of our organization and what it's the work that it's doing, creating a basically a list of these are all the people from all over that are supporting this organization. So it's our unitedrepublic.com. The donation button's there, $20. And then if you go to the associates page, it shows you, and all of those individuals that are on that page have elected to have their information shared. We do not share information unless they elect for it, because we are a private organization, so they have to choose to have that information published as part of the form. But that's how you get your name on the list. If you support our mission, if you support what we're doing, no matter where you are, and you want to support us, that exercise your Citizens United freedom of speech and make a $20 donation. I had to make a $20 donation to actually be put on the list. I can't even get on the list without putting my own $20 in there. So
That's beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much. And also other places where people can find you. I know you are on Telegram. I don't know. Are you back on TikTok again or still not?
I kind of touch TikTok, but I'm so busy with so many other things. And my Telegram has been archived, and all of my videos are there, and everything is just working well. Yes, I'm on TikTok, but don't bother. My Telegram is where you're going to find stuff, and the website.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. Did you have any final remarks for today podcast or broadcast? Anything that you would like to share with the public? I mean, the private. I
The
need to
private.
make sure.
Well, that Our United Republic is kind of that double-sided organization. That's where where it crosses the veil, and we can go from the public to the private and go back and forth. That's why that part of the organization was created, or put together. I would just say that things are going, I believe, in the right direction. I think America is getting ready to make a profound statement globally, and make no mistake, you are going to see the United States Army and United States Marine Corps operating inside the United States, because they are the original American Continental Marines, and they are the original American Army that is supposed to defend domestically this nation. So that will be our mechanism of force. And America's back, and things are going the right direction. God bless.
Thank you, Robert. Wow, that's beautiful. What an ending. I just love it. So please, if you could stay back on the backstage, as I'm just waving out to everybody.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching us today. I know there's a lot of people that have tuned in from our YouTube channel. I could see, but I don't really know you. I'm so pleased to say we really appreciate your time, and thank you for sharing this message also to all your entourage, because the truth have to be going out and people need to know what is truly happening. And so we know that we have other channel. You could follow us on Instagram, on Twitter or X, on Facebook, and on Rumble, on BitChute, and we are almost in every social media platform, because we really want to make sure that people understand what is truly happening. There's been a lot of dismantling. There's been a lot of things happening behind the scenes. So we try to choose the best who are in the field and understanding what is really going on the constitutional republic to bring out, so that they could give us the right message. And these are the time that you really have to hunker down and make sure that you don't listen to everybody, because there's a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of disinformation, and that is made on purpose. It's the psychological warfare going on since over 10 years. Thank you again. And I am Veronique Lawson signing off from this podcast today. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and God bless. Bye-bye.